What's up, guys? LQ here. Going to talk about Secret Invasion Episode 3. And it's I'm kind of disappointed because it's kind of leaving me feeling a little indifferent about it. Um, this episode definitely tried to raise the stakes, which is what you want to do at about the halfway point of a season. You want to raise the stakes. Obviously some pieces are getting moved on the board to set things up for the final act, and you want to see those stakes get raised, and they did that. But at the same time, you don't feel like there's any real repercussions that could come as a result of those stakes being raised. This episode sees Gravik definitely taking steps um, toward starting World War III, which is obviously something that he wants to do to help to accelerate wiping out humanity. And it sees Talos and Fury. They rekindle their friendship in order to stop this World War III from happening. And through the process of this, the best part of the episode is definitely the banter between Talos and Fury, when they're just talking. When they're rekindling their friendship, when they're talking about how Fury rose through the ranks of S.H.I.E.L.D. because of Talos. There's some good banter here that I really enjoyed. The other part of this episode that I really enjoyed was Talos and Gravik meeting. Talos was appealing to Gravik's best nature. Meanwhile, Gravik doesn't want anything to do with that. He's set on what he wants to do, and you definitely saw some of the um, aggression that Talos could have, especially when his daughter's name is brought up. You saw some aggression that he could have. He's still a general. He's still someone who's formidable. Talos is a very formidable person. But it's funny because his aggression was pointed toward Gravik. Later in the episode, you see Fury being very aggressive towards another Skrull, where Talos is taking a much more cool-headed approach. So you definitely see two sides of the coin between Fury and Talos, and how they're both very aggressive people, but it has to be under these certain circumstances for that aggression to really come out. Where I think, the Fury that I want to see is the aggressive one, the one who is action oriented. Shoot first, ask questions later. Where the Talos that I like more, is the Talos who is more cool headed, the one who is going to come to Monica Rambeau's house and try to talk to her and Carol in his Skrull form, to negotiate peace. I feel like that's the Talos that I like the most. Whereas Fury, I like it when he's action oriented. I like it when he's not worried about getting his hands dirty. So they both have that ability. I just enjoyed it more when Fury was doing it for some reason. The big reveal in this episode is that Talos' daughter, it's been pretty ambiguous up to this point whether or not she was on Talos' side or Gravik's side. It became clear in this episode that she is indeed on Talos' side, and she's kind of working undercover. And unfortunately, in this episode, to stop that World War III scenario from happening, her cover gets blown, and it leads to maybe a potential death of a main character in a Marvel show. It's hard to say. Marvel loves killing people off and bringing them back. I'm not even completely convinced Maria Hill is dead. I think she's going to come back. So yeah, this episode, I think technically, on a technical level, this episode did a lot of stuff right. But the problem is that I'm having a hard time caring about what's happening. The MCU has gotten to this weird place where it, the first saga, the Infinity Saga, even when they were telling a story on its own, you could still feel the repercussions in the other movies of that story that was being told. Winter Soldier was a very isolated story that was told in this sphere of Captain America, but you felt the impact of Winter Soldier all over the MCU. So far, ever since Endgame, you really haven't felt the influence of other things happening in this world on other projects. There might be the occasional mention of it, in Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange mentions some stuff that happened in No Way Home, but there's not really any repercussions for things that have happened. And this is potentially world-ending stuff that's happening here in Secret Invasion, and I'm not feeling any. I'm not feeling any potential repercussions. Um, so I don't know. Maybe as we get further into Phase 5, there will be repercussions, and I'll come back and watch Secret Invasion, and I'll be like, okay, I like this more because this is laying the groundwork for something important that would come later. But right now, I'm just not feeling the magnitude of what's happening. And I think that's part of the problem the MCU is having right now, is that magnitude of all these major events that are happening, there's not any repercussions. It's not reverberating out into the universe. So whereas in the Infinity Saga, everything was pretty well connected. That connectivity isn't existing right now. So I'm having a problem with that. And living in a world where, these superpowered beings exist, yet the fate of the world is resting on the shoulders of a 70 or 60 or 70-year-old man. I'm having some issues with it. Like I said, technically, on a technical level, I believe this is proficient storytelling, but it's not gripping. And I think that's the biggest letdown right now, is it's not gripping, and it should be. So I like it. I mean, it's one of the better Disney Plus shows out there, because I haven't loved the MCU Disney Plus shows. It's nowhere near as good as WandaVision, don't get me wrong, but it's better than a lot of them. So it's good but not great. And episode 3 really left me with that same feeling. It was good but not great. Not the level of storytelling that I came to expect from Marvel in the first 3 phases. Unfortunately, it's a level of storytelling I've come to expect from Marvel right now. So that's my take on it. What did you think of Secret Invasion Episode 4? Let me know in the comments below.